Hello and welcome to another episode of Save the Track Bike. I am your co-host Josh.
I'm Chris, the other co-host. You're listening to the podcast about everything fixed gear and among other bikes possibly as well.
Yeah, I mean we always inevitably talk about other bikes because, we're not quite purists, but...
I used to be, but now I'm just not anymore.
Oh no, I was too for years. I was like, I don't need gears. I will not wear Lycra. But here I am now. I do have
Yeah, if it's not fixed, it's broken, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely the mantra back in the day. So
before hashtags.
First we have our segment of we're talking beers. So what are you having?
I'm having the the XL Lava Coffee Bitter. It's from a small brewery just up the road from me. My friend Josh works there. He's a fixed gear rider also, and he races for the Cafe Columbia team. I can never pronounce them, but I hope I plugged them in right there. But yeah, he hooked us up with a couple of cans, and he said, "Save this one till last." So yeah, the Lava Coffee Bitter 5.4%. I'm actually scared of it because just coffee and beer to me actually sounds disgusting. But he said it tastes like treacle toffee. So yeah, let's find out.
So I'm having it's a sour. It's a peach berry pie sour from Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. So
nice.
They're one of my favorite. They're one of my favorite beer companies. They also have this one called Easy Sport that is like, it's kind of just like a super light beer for like summer. It's like perfect for after a bike ride. And it's literally like just super light and a little bit sour, like a little bit of that nice sour. And then it has some salt in it. So it's like hydrating as well.
Okay.
But it's really good. It's called Easy Sport.
It's like a proper sports drink then,
Basically,
no excuse to drink a beer.
Exactly. That's the whole point, I think. It's
Do you know what? My mate Josh was not lying. This is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's actually quite nice.
So I guess we should talk a little bit about our episode today. It's a pretty exciting episode. I have an interview that I did with Gravel Gang. It's an Instagram, just Gravel Gang. And John that runs that Instagram also has a bike shop in Missouri, in Columbia, Missouri, and rides fixed gear gravel. He has a Surly steamroller with like 650B wheels with fatty tires. And so
nice.
Yeah. So we get into his bikes and just kind of talk about riding fixed gear in the Midwest of the United States on gravel and why it's fun.
Awesome. That sounds great. Can't wait to listen to that section when it comes out on Monday. Well, It'll be already out if we're talking right. It'll be already out by this
when
point,
it's out now. So while everyone else is listening, you're probably listening for the first time too. So
exactly, yeah.
But yeah, also we're talking about bicycle parts, fixed gear parts that have been discontinued and don't exist anymore, and ones that we missed. So without further ado, let's get into that.
What's the part that you miss the most? Or you may even have one you're knocking around, that you're proud of, that you're keeping hold of.
Mm. So my first one that I wrote down was, it's not something that I've ever had, but I did plan on putting it on my next bike, is the Shimano Dura Ace track crank, which I probably will still find a used one, but
yeah.
That's just like a classic crank. It's beautiful. It's, the NJS stamp, it's like, it's kind of just the classic looking track crank. And I just really love it. And I'm really sad to see that they discontinued it, especially because, they're a Japanese company and it is NJS. And I don't know, it's just sad to see like an era go away.
Yeah, pretty much. I think they're still in stock in some of the suppliers here in England. So I think, once they're gone, they're gone. It just makes me wonder, because they've been bringing out like their own. I don't know if they're going to enter the world of like power. They can't not make a track crank anymore. So I wonder if they'll put like power meters in them and start doing what rotor cranks are doing these days. Or, well, they'll just make them 10 times more expensive. Like, well, we'll see. Could they might be even changing their design.
That's true.
So, because I came across the patents for, I know we're talking not talking about track bikes again now, but I came across the patent for Shimano Di2 wireless 13 speed. I was watching a guy on YouTube the other day talking about, yeah, they're just putting the patent designs for it. So maybe we have to keep our eye out for a patented design, new track design. Maybe, you never know. But the classic look, though, I love it. You can't beat it. I've got one actually. It's on my wife's bike. Unfortunately, I've had to take them back off and put them on my bike.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, because with a lot of this stuff, as I'm like, is like the track bike disappearing a little bit again? You know, I feel like we had a little bit of a rise with like Red Hook and everything, and ever since like that, I feel like maybe in the US. But again, we talked about this last time that I don't know if it's just like the bubble I'm in now or what, but it is sad to see these kind of iconic parts go away.
No, for sure. Because you talk about Red Hook Crit, I believe like was it Team Rocket, Specialized Espresso? They were all on the Dura-Ace cranks as well. They made them bikes pop pretty hard. They were awesome bikes.
Yeah, those were, and their paint jobs on the Specialized Rocket Espresso bikes were amazing. Always.
Yeah, my favorite one they did was, it's kind of like a sky blue with some white in it. I remember it being pretty out there when they did that design, but that was my favorite one they ever did, I reckon.
Yeah, it was nice. What did you put down?
I always see them on like older bikes that need a quill stem, but they're like the Salsa. Is it a brand Salsa?
Mm-hmm.
I've been after this stem for years. I've been trying to track one down. I just can't find one anywhere in England. But I think there's a brand, like a kind of a gravel brand that brought like a very similar one out called Taco or Taco Stem.
Okay. And so what's the idea of it? It's like
it's just like you say,
it's a threaded stem that looks like a quill stem. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it is a quill stem.
Oh,
I think they do normal stems as well, but it is a quill stem. It's just one of them iconic parts that you see on like Colnagos or older American style track bikes, you know. Every time I go to a fixie fair, it's the first thing a track bike fair or a bike fair. I'm trying to find this particular stem, but I've seen one in my life, and I was at the Bicycle Messenger Championships in Riga last year or the year before, I forget when it was, and one of the messengers had one. I was like, "How much do you want for it? I will give you my money right now." He was just not having it. But keeping on stems, the Thompson 4-bolt, I really, really like them, but they seem to be discontinued, especially the 1-inch version that they did. It has like a little wedge in it as well.
Oh yeah,
it's an old design. I think it's an old mountain bike, but they were very popular in the track bike scene a while back as well.
I didn't even realize they were getting rid of those.
Yeah, I went on their website a few weeks back, and yeah, they're in the discontinued section. I was like, oh man, well, they're gone.
Dang. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to throw one more crank out. So obviously the SRAM Omnium, which
doesn't.
Go ahead.
It doesn't make any sense to me why they would discontinue it. It's like the number one street fixed gear crank, you know.
Yeah,
among other
and track.
Yeah, I
went to the velodrome numerous times and saw tons of people on those cranks, and so it seems really wild that they're going away. And they were on like every track bike pretty much for a while, and I rode on them for years, and I really loved them. Never had a problem with them, and
me too. Like. The first ever, I still have my first set of SRAM Omniums, and they're on my wife's bike. I really have to take my parts back off her bike. Yeah, my first ever set of track cranks was Omniums. Yeah, I had them for like, I don't know how long I've had them for. I think this is the old bolt system in the crank, so they must be like 7 or 8 years old, maybe even longer by now. I can't remember, but yeah, they're still going strong.
So my next few are actually frame sets. So my first one is the GT track frame.
Mate, yes, all day long, man. There's a few. I think there's the Pulse which is one of my favorites. And they did
Hmm.
one called, is it called the Gutter Ball? I think I can't really remember now.
Gutter ball, yeah, you're right. I've seen them around. There was like one guy I used to ride with around in Denver that had one, and then there was a company a while ago that was called Tribe, based out of New York, and they had one that was kind of doing this similar thing with the chainstay.
Seat stay. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
The
the
top
diamond,
one.
yeah. So the one that the
Yeah. Yeah.
diamond frame comes, if you haven't seen these, like go look it up. Just search like GT track frame or GT gutter ball. And then there was a company called Tribe a few years ago that had one, of my friend got one of those bikes, and they were pretty rad. They came with SRAM Omniums. They were steel frame. They had that
Damn.
similar design, carbon fiber fork, and really tight, aggressive geometry. And there were a bunch of people, riding on them and stuff. And they were kind of like, they had like different levels. They were kind of like a state or something where they had like their affordable track, like fixed gear bikes and single speeds. And then they had their, you know, racing bikes. And then they had kind of this one was called the Messenger. So they teamed up with a bunch of bike messengers and helped design it. And they came away with like that GT-esque design. But anyway, they're not making bikes anymore either. So
No way, because I heard about this Tribe brand like 5 years ago, so they mustn't have lasted too long then.
yeah, they were around for a few years and then yeah, went away for whatever reason. So such a
Damn.
bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one bites the dust.
Another one of mine that I just miss was, it was one of my first fixed gear bikes, and they were like kind of an affordable brand, but they like made nice steel bikes, and it was like a great entry level for people, but like way higher quality than a lot of like entry level single speeds and stuff now.
Hmm.
At least I think, it's hard to find much information about them, but they were called IRO or IRO. I don't know exactly how to say it, but
Oh
IRO
yeah, I
cycles.
have come across them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen them on the internet.
So that was like one of my first track bikes. I had like the riser bars on it that were like real narrow, and I had you could bar spin on it. The wheel would hit your down tube just a little bit, but it would still spin around.
Sick.
It had pretty like slack geometry, and I don't know what steel it was made with. That's not why I bought it. I bought it because you could bar spin with it, and it was pretty simple looking. It was like just black, but everyone was riding those at one point because they were like pretty affordable to get, and they were nice quality, so they weren't just like you were buying garbage. But I had one of
That's
those with
awesome.
some like Velocity DVs and some Sagino cranks on it, and but then I ended up selling that bike to my friend who was way too tall to be riding that bike, so he had the seat post like just super high.
Way too high.
And now that same friend, he rides one of the Tribe messenger bikes that I was just talking about, the
Oh no
the
way.
GT ripoffs. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got something. It's not quite a bike park, but pedalroom.com. We need to bring that back, for anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't know. It's like the Facebook of fixie riders, I guess. But like I'm logged, I've just logged on it now. It hasn't been updated in since 2017.
Yeah.
So, which is
I
mental.
used to go there all the time, and I actually still do sometimes. If I like want to look at pictures of an older bike that's hard to find, I'll end up on Pedal Room looking for pictures of that bike.
Exactly. I used to be constantly on there looking for inspiration of how I'm going to build the frame that I just bought at the time,
Yeah,
or the parts I just bought at the time.
exactly. Yeah, that was like the best. I just put one of mine, and this is just kind of broad, but essentially like fixed gear freestyle.
Okay, just I mean, as a whole.
I feel like everything in fixed gear freestyle got discontinued. Like Bomb Track doesn't make theirs anymore. I guess they sold it to Radio, so Radio does have it's a they sell it as a BMX bike, but you can get it with the fixed gear hub. Um, but yeah, I mean, you used to be able to get tons of bikes. Volume had the Volume Cutter. Um, and All City, had the All City Airwolf. Bomb Track had a fixed
Yeah.
gear freestyle bike. State had one.
You had the
Um,
14 Bike Co. as well.
yeah.
They were pretty
I,
good.
and I'm sure, and I know people still build them and stuff, but it was like a little bitty era where a lot of people were, there were not a lot of companies, but there were a handful of companies making fixed gear freestyle bikes, and that's pretty much all but disappeared.
I feel like the people that used to make fixed gear freestyle are now making fixed gear gravel bikes.
Yeah, well, not even making fixed gear gravel bikes, just making gravel bikes.
Yeah, there's
Like
that
Bomb
too.
Track
Yeah,
doesn't
like
even have a fixed gear anymore. Um,
no way. Well, they
and
got rid of the needle.
yeah, they got rid of the needle and they
Oh,
don't do the script. They're true track bike anymore either. Um,
damn.
and then uh, I would put the Bomb Track script on my list too because I had one of those for a little while and I really really loved it and I regret selling it like more than any other bike that I've sold.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That being said, like the only bike I've ever regretted selling is like my black and white Chinelli Parallax, and I'll put that on the list for discontinued bikes, man. That's still to my day like the best bike ever.
Yeah, I really loved those Mash and Chinelli. Um, wait, was that a collab? The Parallax?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Parallax was, yeah, I believe it was all Mash's design, and then yeah,
yeah,
Chinelli made it,
yeah. I
and then
kind of
they
miss
kind of
those,
stole it.
but then I love the Mash, like what they're just doing on their own.
Yeah, yeah. They just needed the stepping stone just to do whatever they're doing. But that yeah, my friend Derek has the orange steel frame that they make. It looks amazing on pictures.
Did you write down anything else?
Well, do you remember I can never pronounce the bloody name of the brand, but Schwalbe, whatever, however you say it, the German top brand.
Oh yeah,
They did a fixed gear Pacific tire, and but they discontinued them like 2, 3 years ago. I find some in new old stock every now and again, but yeah, they were really good. But I guess they didn't. I guess Continental is king over here.
yeah.
But but
I,
yeah, the Schwalbe, they used to have a big skid competition down in London, and it would be like yeah, it'd be like part of like a big massive bike festival, but then they'll end it with like mostly just drunk messengers just trying to do lonely skids for a pair of these Schwalbe fixie tires.
so this is just like barely scratching the surface. These are just a handful of things that we came up with because we could talk about also bare knuckle. That frame set's going away.
Oh yeah,
And I
like
mean,
chub hubs as well.
Chub
Do you
hubs,
remember
yeah,
them?
yeah. Arrow spoke, yeah. So all of you out there, what parts are you missing? Message us. We'll shout it out next time.
I bet we've missed loads and we'll get absolutely nailed in the comments, but
That's
bring it
okay.
on.
We just wanted to scratch the surface and talk about a couple parts that we were missing, just in light of the Omniums going away and stuff like that. And then also like what things that are coming up are we excited about? So with that, let's jump into my interview with John from Gravel Gang.
All right, so my name is John Wilkinson. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Born and raised down there. Then moved to Missouri, about 7 years ago. And right now I work or I co-own a bike shop with my best friend Brian Kukla, CycleX Bicycles. And in my free time, I just ride bikes and take pictures.
Nice. So I had you on because you have an Instagram account that's fairly popular that I was just following, as far as just being interested in gravel, and then noticed that there was a lot of like surly steamrollers being posted. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little. So that's why I was like, oh, I should just reach out and see if they want to be on because I don't know if you've ever heard this podcast, but I've always been interested in doing not just track on track bikes. I've been riding track bikes for over a decade now, and I just love them so much. And I think you can do so much fun stuff on them. So when I see people posting doing gravel, and I'm fairly new to the Midwest, and there's a ton of gravel out here in Nebraska as well. I just wanted to find out like how did Gravel Gang come about, and how did you build that following, and where did that all come from?
So I started it, I guess, I think a little over a year ago. And the Instagram account, that is. I've been riding fixed gravel for a few years now. I was thinking about doing a 650B build for a little while, and then I finally pulled the trigger a couple years ago. Because like I was riding the last setup I had with 700s before I built up the steamroller was a Specialized Langster, and the biggest tires I could fit in there were 32s. And even then, like I was definitely getting, I had a lot of rub inside the fork. Like it was, it was getting worn down pretty quickly. A friend of mine came into the bike shop and he had a different bike. It was a Kona, I think a Sutra or a Rove. And that was, I remember seeing the 650Bs on it and I was like, dang, those look pretty cool. I kind of took some measurements and then, just pulled the trigger. Honestly, I wasn't even sure how well the tires were going to fit inside the steamroller, but I went with some of the narrower 650B rims that I could find, which are the Velocity ailerons, and they technically fit. There's not a ton of clearance, but once I got it built up, that was 2 years ago, and that was kind of when things took off. I definitely felt way more comfortable, way more stable on a lot of the gravel in town. And then, I just started, I posted a few pictures of it here and there. It just kind of started gaining traction and people started sending me pics of their 650B builds. And, it was kind of wild the way it took off. I definitely didn't have any expectation. I just kind of started it for fun. We have a local group here in town, and we do rides. Well, we haven't done any rides since March, but we rode every Sunday morning and Wednesday evening, and that's kind of how the gravel gang started. It was just for fun. I didn't really have any goals with it, but it's been crazy. I definitely didn't expect it to be where it's at now. That's for sure.
So how did you find cycling in the first place and what attracted you to fixed gear?
So I've been, I grew up skateboarding and riding BMX. And then as I got older, my knees just weren't doing that well, my knees and my left ankle specifically. So I was planning on getting into some cruiser BMX bikes. And then my next door neighbor was the one who was like, dude, you should check out these single speed fixed gear bikes. And my first bike my first single speed I bought, it was around 10 years ago. It was a Dawes SST from Bikes Direct. And I had that set up single speed for a few months, and then once I flipped the hub and started riding it fixed, I kind of didn't really look back. And it's just so much fun, especially in Miami. I mean, you really don't need, it's so flat, you don't really need gears to have fun down there. But that's the bike that really got into it. A Dawes SST from Bikes Direct.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I started off skateboarding and racing BMX when I was a kid and stuff, and same for me. My first fixed gear bike was probably, I don't know, a little over 10 years ago now, and it was a Bikes Direct Mercier Kilo TT.
Okay, yep. That's basically a steamroller.
Yep. So very similar trajectories. That's funny.
Well, actually, I guess the WT is the steamroller. Yeah, the original, the Kilo TT, I guess, is a little different.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have the wide tire one now. I don't think.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about riding on dirt roads at the time. I was just.
Same here. I never. Yeah.
We were just We were just riding in the city and watching MASH videos and doing that whole thing.
Yeah, it was actually that was one of the videos. I think the first video that like really got me pumped was the MASH Tour of California.
Mm-hmm.
Video. I can't remember when that was. I think it was, was that 2007, 2008? Or no, it would have been maybe a little later. But yeah, that was. I remember watching that, and I was like, I want to do that. That looks fun. And yeah, those guys have been killing it for a while. Well, I guess it's different riders now, but yeah, MASH in general has been
it's
awesome for a long time.
It's so funny to think back on that because at that time, watching like Macaframa and Mash and all those, the guys that were doing tricks, that was the first time I ever heard of 650B wheels because people wanted to be able to bar spin.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then
I remember, I think Garrett Chow had I don't know if he ever did any freestyle, but I don't know if it was a 650B or 650A, but I remember his red bike with the, I think it was a 5 spokes, or I can't remember, but I just remember him, that video where he was riding with Lance, or Mash was riding with Lance Armstrong. And yeah, I remember his front wheel being a little smaller. I don't remember exactly what size, but that was a badass bike.
Oh yeah, I remember that Lance Armstrong video was really good too.
Yeah.
Just that part at the end, we were all sitting there, and when Lance just like takes off and his cadence is so high,
flip the switch. Yep.
It's so
followed
good.
the guys and have fun, and just took over. He's like, all right, I'll show you.
And I just remember he had those mustache bars that he was riding on.
Yeah,
it was so sick.
Yeah,
so what attracts you to riding fixed gear bikes on the dirt? Like a lot of people have gotten into gravel and got into getting gravel bikes and stuff like that. What made you want to do a fixed gear and ride that on the gravel?
It's just so much more fun. I mean, don't get like, I love riding all kinds of bikes, but fixed gear is, there's just something to it that it's just, if I have the choice, like whenever we do group rides, more often than not, or I'd say 90% of the time, unless it's close friends only, like I'll ride a geared bike. But I'd say this year, 99% of my rides have been all fixed. I mean, it's just, there's something about it. It's definitely so much more enjoyable. I mean, there's definitely an adrenaline rush for sure. Once you're going down some hills and, you kind of realize that there isn't a whole lot you can do. Like, you kind of just go with it. Once you hit a certain speed and cadence, it's like, obviously you can skid, but, I've been on a few hills where, especially on gravel, where I've skidded, and I don't think I lost any speed at all. You just keep sliding down. So definitely an adrenaline rush, but also I just love the aesthetic of fixed gear bikes. I mean, I love how, I love the look of a good naked bike. So that's definitely part of it too.
Yeah, I've never thought about, I never thought about doing, I've been looking around for like what kind of a build where like, what's the biggest tire I can put on? And for some reason, it never crossed my mind to do 650B wheels on a fixed gear. And it makes so much sense. Like, once I saw your pictures, I was like, oh, you could put some fatties on there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The 650Bs help for sure. And especially, I'm on the WTB Senderos right now, and those are definitely the knobbiest, most aggressive tire I've tried so far. And they've been good. I was actually finally got out on some hills this week, and they're solid. I mean, they're definitely, I didn't get any slipping climbing up some of the steeper hills. And then definitely, when I needed to slow down downhill, when I locked it up, it grabbed. So I've been really happy with that tire. It's definitely overkill for most of the riding I do, but it's been working really well. And the 650Bs in general is just so much fun. I mean, you can set them at 40 if you want a firm ride, or, I've had them down at like 20 PSI if you really want, a nice cushy ride. So, I mean, there's a lot of adjustability. Definitely a lot of fun.
So I'm curious, I have some questions about the Midwest here. So now that you're bringing that up, like, one of the misconceptions that I found with the Midwest is everybody thinks it's super flat. I don't know how your area is, but you mentioned hills. I know here outside of Omaha, once you get on the gravel roads, you are hitting some gnarly steep grades.
Oh yeah, no, there's hills if you want them, and there's flats if you want them. So like the best thing, my favorite thing about living in Columbia is we have this trail called the MKT Trail, and it's a Rails to Trails conversion. It's 9 miles long, and it takes you out to the Katy Trail. And then the Katy Trail is another Rails to Trails conversion, and it basically runs across the whole state. So it's crushed limestone. It's super smooth, super fine. I can get out on that and do a 60 mile ride and have less than 500 feet of elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if I want to hit the hills, then I'd say, I don't know, within definitely in under 15 minutes, I can get out onto a gravel road that has, it might be a mile long, and it'll get you 500 or 600 feet of elevation. So yeah, I mean, they're all rollers. There definitely aren't any long climbs, but there's a ton of rollers. And like you said, yeah, there's some steep grades too. So, I mean, yeah, and depending on when they put the gravel down, I mean, yeah, that throws another element. But yeah, no, there's definitely hills to be had. I'd say more often than not, if you're not riding on the trail, yeah, it's hilly here.
There's a trail right on the other side here of Omaha in Council Bluffs, Iowa. That's like, it's like 70 miles long, and it's like pretty flat, and it's very similar. It's a rail to trail type situation, all crushed limestone. And that is a super fun ride. And then like if you go south of Omaha, it's like a very, very flat. You can get some super flat rides in. But as soon as you go north, I mean, I did a ride the other day that was like 30 miles, and I got like 2,000 feet of elevation.
Oh, yeah. That's
and then, we have Gravel Worlds here, which is a race over in Lincoln. And that race is 150 miles with upwards of 10,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah. Yeah. A good friend of ours and friend of the shop, he actually won. I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago. His name's Ethan Fraze. He's super fast. He's in his early 50s, so he won the Masters division, and I think he got 4th overall. But yeah, strong dude. And yeah, he was tons of climbing. He said.
That's amazing. Yeah, that race looks really cool. I've actually been meaning to do it for the past couple years. A couple of years ago, I couldn't do it because I had some personal stuff going on and ended up like having to defer or just like not go to the race. I was already signed up. And then last year, of course, everything got canceled, and it was a digital race, and I just didn't have it in me to do 150 miles by myself.
That's not the same. I mean, 150 time trial. That's basically, I don't think I would enjoy that.
Yeah. But tell us a little bit about your bike shop and what you specialize in, and how do you use it as a conduit to build cycling community like in your town, in your area, and obviously through your social media.
Cool. Yeah. So, it's been open since '93, and then my best friend and I, we bought it a little over a couple of years ago. But we kind of turned into I guess more of a gravel shop. We definitely sell everything. We deal like our main brands are Specialized, Giant, and Cannondale, and then we picked up Surly recently. But yeah, we sell. I'd say more often than not. I mean, everything lately has been gravel bikes, and then this is a college town, so we definitely sell a lot of fitness bikes, and then we also do some road and some mountainous. But I would say like our gravel's kind of been taken over, but it's fun. Like we definitely don't sell a ton of fixed gear bikes. Like as much as I enjoy it, there definitely isn't a large community. I've got a few friends who are into it, and some of the guys that work at the shop ride fixed. But it's the funnest thing is, I mean, just meeting different people who are enthusiastic about riding, like whatever style of riding it is. It's just cool seeing people come in, and we do like I said, we do the Sunday morning gravel rides, and then Wednesday evening it's a trail ride, like a casual pace, and then Saturday mornings one of the clubs that we sponsor in town, they do a road ride. But yeah, it's just fun to kind of just introduce people into cycling. And we used to do a Sunday social ride as well, Sunday afternoons. And that would be like a really, really beginner friendly bike ride where, someone who was literally just getting into it and didn't have anyone to ride with, they would kind of come out, and it'd be a short little 10-mile ride on the trail, just an out and back. But, and that was always fun because it's kind of, trying to live vicariously through some people where it's, been riding for so long, but it's still fun to be a part of someone else's like first quote unquote long ride. But yeah, and then we also have, a women's ride on Wednesday evenings, that our sales manager, leads. And there's just there's an awesome cycling community here in town. There's a few shops in town, and most of them are doing some kind of group rides on almost a daily basis. So if there's something you're wanting to do and you're new to Columbia, I mean, you'll be able to find a group ride almost every day of the week when the pandemic isn't going on. But yeah.
Well, speaking of the pandemic, my next question is actually, I'm curious to hear about how the pandemic has affected your bike shop. I know that we saw a huge boom, which for manufacturers and giant bike shops was great. But how has the experience been for you guys in like a smaller Midwestern town?
So we're pretty much sold out of bikes right now. We sold pretty much all our bike inventory within the first few months. And we've got a ton of stuff on back order right now, but I think, we really don't have a very big selection. And that was, I don't think anyone saw that coming. And then, so once that started happening, then parts started getting hard to find. And that really caught us off guard. Like 26-inch tubes, for example, I don't know what happened, but 26-inch tubes and tires were gone for like a month or two. Finding 8-speed shifters or, an Altus rear derailleur was difficult for a while. Some of that stuff's starting to come back, but it's been wild. Right now things have slowed down, but I mean, it's normal slow for this time of year. Once the temperature drops, the shop gets slower, so things are starting to feel normal again, except for the fact that we just still don't have bikes, and we're honestly not sure when we'll be getting more. Like we did preseason orders, back in spring, and I think we did some orders over the summer, and we're still waiting for basically all of that to come in. We got maybe 5 bikes a week, and it's kind of stuff at random, like get a few gravel bikes in, a few mountain bikes in, some comfort bikes, but it's just weird the way they're trickling in. Where in the past, we'd put in an order, and then we knew when stuff was coming in, we could plan for it. But right now we're just kind of, as stuff comes in, we're just trying to get it built up as quickly as possible, get it out on the floor, and then stuff usually sells pretty quickly. We've been taking names and numbers down, and people who are looking for bikes, we're trying to reach out, let people know when stuff comes in. But sometimes we'll order stuff on Monday and it doesn't even ship until maybe Wednesday or Thursday. That's how backed up they are. Yeah. So random, talking about that, since obviously the fixed-gear riding, would you rather climb a long hill or descend a long hill?
Climb.
Same. The older I get, I'm just like, once I hit a certain cadence, I'm definitely like, I'm slowing down. I'd rather.
Yeah.
It's just that's what I like about here in Missouri. Like, there's a lot of short, steep stuff, and it's like you can kind of know. It's like, all right, at this point, I can let go, and I'm not gonna pop out or But I'd definitely rather climb all day on fixed.
So, what are some of the misconceptions about the area of the world that we reside in the Midwest? I think you're like 4 hours from me, so very similar. Landscape. And why do you think people should come out to the Midwest and ride, if in fact you do?
No, people should definitely come out to the Midwest and ride. Specifically, Columbia is awesome. So I actually haven't done a ton of traveling within Missouri, outside of Columbia, and then I've visited St. Louis and Kansas City. But Columbia itself is actually way more liberal than people realize. It's a college town, so I mean, it's not as conservative as what people might think, or what I thought. Honestly, I didn't really know a whole lot. I didn't do a ton of research before we moved here. But yeah, so it's a cool town. People are friendly. But yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest misconception. It's not as conservative as, at least here in Columbia, it's not as conservative as what I would think most people think. And then the other thing is, it's not flat. So if you come here and if you're expecting flat road rides, you're not going to have them, which, it's fine. But yeah, I would say that's the other. Oh, and it's hot and humid here. That I did not expect. It's way more like the summers here
They're
are
brutal.
way like, yeah. So like the thing I like to compare to, or the way I describe it, is like South Florida. It's like if you're looking at a line of the temperature, it's almost like a straight line all the way across. It's like, there's some curves here and there. It's between like 70 and 90. It never really gets that hot in the summer. It never really gets that cool in the winter. But here, holy crap, for like it's a peak of summer. Like I had never really ridden in 100-degree temperatures until I moved here. Like where the heat index is, it's over 100, and then the humidity is at like 60 or 70. Like, I mean, it gets hot here. But it only lasts maybe a few weeks. And then I guess the winters aren't as cold. That was the one good thing, which I'm grateful for. I'm definitely not complaining about that. It's only cold. Maybe like February is definitely the hardest month to kind of get through, but otherwise it's usually 30 degrees or above. Like it doesn't get below 30 too often, or there's parts in the day where, the low might be, in the 20s or the teens, but like the peak will definitely be above 30, so you can get out and usually get a ride. If you've got the day off, you just kind of wait for the warmest part of the day and then get out.
Yeah. And I know people here in Omaha that commute year round and stuff like that. And I think that's the other one of the things too, is like, you can definitely get away with commuting in the Midwest on a bike as well.
Oh yeah. And actually, now that you mentioned that, Columbia is actually pretty bike friendly, for commuting as well. There's a lot of dedicated bike lanes on some of the bigger roads, and then they've also got these bike boulevards where it's like cars can drive on them, but like you've definitely seen like there's a lot of signage like kind of that's where cyclists, I guess, get priority. Well, not that they don't get priority anywhere else, but it's kind of like that. Those are the roads where people are definitely expecting to see cyclists. But yeah, I mean, my commute's less than a mile, so I really don't have too many issues. But I know a lot of people that commute more, and like with the trail system in town, you can get to a lot of places in town without even actually getting on the roads for more than maybe a mile or even half a mile. So it's pretty bike friendly. A lot more bike friendly than people realize.
This is a question I didn't write down, but do you remember Corn Fed? They were like fixed gear videos. They were all like bike couriers in Indiana, and they had like
no, I'm not familiar with Corn Fed.
Okay, yeah, you should look up Corn Fed. It was like all these kind of MASH-esque style videos, but they were all based out of Indiana, so it was all like very much like, we're not on the coasts, and we're definitely like Midwestern guys who are like doing all these. Yeah. They might be kind of hard to find now. I think they're pretty defunct, but those Corn Fed videos were sick, and I used to watch those all the time too.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. And then I'm curious if you have any dream bike events or adventures that you have planned or that you want to happen in the future.
So yeah, actually I wanted to do a big event here. Well, I don't know, big. I mean, I wanted to do an event here in Columbia hosted at the shop this year, but yeah, like you said, obviously things happened, didn't allow it. It was going to be the Midwest Gravel Fest. I'm hoping to do it next year, but hopefully, depending on.
Well, let me know. I'll come out and ride it fixed gear with you, and I'll cover it for the podcast.
Yeah. So my plan for that one is it's going to be 3 different rides starting at different times. You can do one, you can do none, you can do all 3. And it's going to be definitely not a race. I mean, I guess the main event, quote unquote, it's going to be a 50-mile ride, and I would imagine people are going to race that. But I want to have some fun categories that, like heaviest bike, for example. So, if you do the 50-mile ride on the heaviest bike, you win something, just stuff like that.
Dang.
And then,
maybe I'll do it on a cargo bike.
Yeah. Or if you want to ride it, if someone wants to ride it solo on a tandem, hey, knock yourself out. Just something like that. One idea that a friend of mine came up with, was least dressed. So we were trying to see like what's the least amount of clothing you could get away with. It's like, I mean, technically, yeah, shoes, chamois, and a helmet, I guess. I don't know if you want, but just something that's just more fun. And like, yeah, the first ride of the day was going to be like a breakfast ride. That was going to be, just down to the Missouri River, have some food, and then come back, and that'd be 25 miles with like no climbing. And then the final ride was going to be a sunset ride. So yeah, it's going to be 25, 50, and 25. So if you do all 3 rides, you get 100 miles in for the day. But yeah, music, vendors were going to come out. But yeah, so hopefully next year. And then as far as personal stuff, like, I don't know, I was going to go down to Mid-South this year, but that was right at the beginning when things were getting weird, and a really good friend of mine and I were going to go down together, and we kind of made the decision last minute. We're like, you know what, things are starting to turn. We'd probably maybe not go out there. But yeah, hopefully next year. And I've been thinking I kind of want to try, I guess Unbound is what it's called now. That would be fun to kind of experience. I don't know what distance or what bike I would try that on, but that's not near future. That's kind of like long-term stuff. Maybe within the next few years, I kind of want to get out there and experience that. But
well, if you decide to put Gravel Worlds on your list, you have a place to crash.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, out of all the people that I know that travel for events, most of them go to Gravel Worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a bunch of people went out there from Columbia last year, and they said it was a good time. Really cool atmosphere. But yeah, I think that's all the other stuff. And then I've got a build that I'm working on, but I'm still waiting for some parts to come in. Hopefully, hoping to have it done by the end of the year. But I don't know. We'll see.
So describe your bike setup for us right now. What are you riding?
Okay, so I've got it's a 2018 Surly Steamroller, Mystery Gray color. It's I've got a Whiskey #7 RD Plus full carbon fork, and then bar stem and seat posts are Zip Service Course SL, and then the bar specifically is an SL88. I've found that running brakeless, having a longer reach bar is way more comfortable, because if you don't have hoods to hold on to, having that longer reach kind of, I guess imitates the feel of a hood. You just have a little bit more to hold on to out front. I've got SRAM Omnium crank, and with the stock GXP bottom bracket, an AARN 47 tooth chainring, and 17 tooth cog in the back. And then the big thing, with the 650B wheels, Velocity aileron rims, and then I've got the Chubb hubs, which kind of fun. Definitely get a lot of questions on those whenever I post it. When someone's seen the bike for the first time, almost always, I get a question about the hub. And then the 650B WTB Senderos right now. Oh, and then I guess another thing I put on recently, the Walnut Studiolo Stitch or so on bar wrap. That stuff is awesome. I've never ridden a leather bar wrap before. That has been by far the grippiest material I've ever ridden. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it stains my hands, which I don't want. So it's still staining my hands like over a month later, but that stuff is it's been really good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setup. I love seeing all the pictures for sure.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. It's cool. It's definitely by far my favorite bike that I've owned.
What other bikes do you have?
So right now I don't own any geared bikes. So I've got a Chinelli Histogram. It was a 2015.
Nice.
The all black with the chrome logo, and then the Histogram.
That was a sick one.
Yeah, I love this bike. That's honestly the bike that I've had my fastest rides on. And then, so that one's got FSA cockpit, Mavic Ellipse wheels. It's got an FSA carbon track crank on it, which is pretty cool because, those kind of became extinct a little while ago. Actually, I guess the Omniums are extinct now too, which is a bummer.
Yep.
And then my commuter is a Specialized Olay Sprint track. It's the white with the holographic logos on it. And then I've got that one set up with a riser bar and 650Bs. That one obviously doesn't have the clearance that the steamroller does, but I've got some 650 by 38 Panaracer Col de la Bise, and they fit in there real well. They only measure 35, so I've got plenty of clearance on those. So that's a fun bike to kind of mess around with.
Nice. Oh yeah, I think I saw pictures of that one too.
Yeah, I don't ride that one as much on longer rides because definitely like flat bars are a ton of fun, but like if I'm doing, if I'm going out for a longer ride, if I'm going to be, 2, 3, 4 hours, drops are definitely what I need to be on. And the rides, my hands start to go numb after like 40 miles on a ride. Yeah, but it's super fun to play around with. And that one I actually have a really low gear ratio. It's a 49 tooth, which is kind of ridiculous up front, but it's got a 20 tooth cog in the back, so it's spinny. It likes to go up hills, and it's easy to skid, like real easy to skid. No stress on your knees whatsoever.
Nice.
So yeah, that one's a lot of fun to mess around with. Those are pretty much it. I had an All City Cosmic Stallion that was a lot of fun. That was the last geared bike that I had, but I sold it.
Which one was it?
Cosmic Stallion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like the purple fade to white. That was a fun bike.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, I actually sold it to someone whose bike broke. So someone's bike broke. We couldn't get a replacement in, so I not donated, but yeah, they took the frame, and then I still have the parts. I'll probably build something else up, maybe a Macho King or something.
Oh, those are nice too.
Yeah.
I really dig the new. I really like that bomb pop type color that they did for the newest Macho, or what do they call it now? Nature Cross geared.
Oh yeah, the series of yeah, those look cool. And I'm kind of curious about the super professionals too.
Yeah, actually, my friend has one of those, the single speed, but it has that like master dropout they call it, so you can do like geared. But the paint job on it is sick. It looks really good.
Yeah, we had a guy buy one at the shop, and it's like a black brown, like with the flake gives it a little bit of a brownish tint to it. But yeah, I mean it's definitely badass. It's a cool look for sure.
For someone interested in getting their fixed gear bike out on gravel for the first time, first, why should they try it? And second, what tips do you have?
Why should they try it? Because it's fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It just it's a totally different experience. What tips? I would say maybe depending on what the gravel is like in your area. If you've got a front brake, maybe consider throwing that back on if you're riding brakeless, just to kind of, ease into it. Unless you're confident, then definitely, brakeless is fine. But I would say also a lot of people, not just fixed, but a lot of people riding gravel for the first time, lower your air pressure for sure. We get some people coming into the shop and, they're riding gravel and, they sometimes, if we put the bike in the stand for, minor adjustment or whatever, and we ask, hey, what tire pressure do you want to be at? And sometimes they'll say 80. And it's like, oh, you got 35s on here. You don't need to be anywhere near that. Let me drop it down a little bit. Try it out. If you don't like it, obviously change it back. But, I would say lower the tire pressure for sure, depending on the size of your tire and your weight. You could definitely, 40, 50 PSI will get you going just fine, and it'll be way more comfortable and you get way more traction. For going back to fixed gear specific, I would say play around with gear ratios for sure, because, you don't want something, you want to find a happy medium, something that you can climb with comfortably, but something that you're not going to spin out of your mind going downhill. So yeah, like a lot of people that I see, and like some of the gear ratios that seem to be pretty common are either like a 47, 17, 18, 19, kind of somewhere in that ballpark, or a 46, 16, somewhere around there. But yeah, you want to find a balance somewhere that, that works uphill and downhill.
Well, now we have a lightning round. So
okay.
Nothing too crazy, but
Uh,
so steel, carbon, or aluminum?
frame,
Yeah.
steel,
Quicksilver or premium rush?
Quicksilver,
Dirt, road, or track?
I gotta go dirt.
And you probably already answered this, but 650B or 700?
650B all day.
Best tires
Not a
for...
fad. Sorry.
Say that again.
I said it's not a fad. It's not a fad, Mom.
So best tires for Midwest fixed gear gravel?
Ooh, WTV Venture or Renee Ayers Juniper Ridge.
Podcast, music, or the sound of your surroundings?
So, I don't ride with music. Yeah, sound of surroundings.
And favorite ride snack?
I usually don't eat, but if I do, I'll take baby food.
All right.
Banana. Banana mango is my favorite. I get one of the baby food packets. Those are good.
Cool. And where can people find out more information about you?
So my bike shop, CycleX.com, CYCLEX.com, and then me, I guess, at Gravel Gang on Instagram.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, John. It was rad talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I really, really appreciate it.
All right, I want to thank John for coming on. And, well, that does it for this episode of Save the Track Bike.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
You can visit us at savethetrackbike.com or on Instagram at savethetrackbike.
Give us a review, help us out, spread the word, tell your mates. Let's keep the track bike flame alive.
This show's part of Figure Podcasts. Visit figurepodcasts.com to check out our other shows.
And the theme song today is Slag Girl by the Vitamin Pets.
All right, everyone. Thank you, and don't stop pedaling, I guess, is what I'm going to say. Because if you do, you'll get launched over your handlebars.